They're just watching, bro.
Is this another Vision Pro video? Yes. Yeah, it's a good one though, I promise. Yeah, I'm sure. No, okay, so I've been thinking a lot about
He's talking to
what
himself.
a second generation Vision Pro might look like.
Okay.
But didn't this literally just came out?
Wait,
No, I know,
what?
but okay, so obviously there are lots of other VR
Okay, no, never
headsets,
mind.
but there are lots of things that got way more interesting about this one joining the market, and if you compare this to those, this is missing stuff. Right,
Yeah.
but that is also the most expensive one. So. Yeah. It's if there are things that the Quest 3 does that if the Vision Pro did it,
Okay, to the
it
right
would
is the
feel
Quest.
like it's a revolutionary change.
Left
to this
is
thing.
Apple Vision.
It's a good video, I swear. All right, I'll allow it. This doesn't work though. You can't. Okay, fine. Anyway.
I like it, how he did it.
So I don't think the Vision Pro is gonna be an every single year product update like the iPhone. I think it's gonna be one of those that's like every couple
years,
You stack
yeah,
up
for
enough
sure.
tech updates every once in a while, and it's
100%.
worthy of a new
They
generation.
need a
and
lot of
it's a bigger
work
deal
for
when it
this
comes
one.
out. By the way, that's how a lot of other VR headsets have been. The Quest 3 came out like 3 years after the Quest 2, and the PSVR 2 came out like 6 years after the first one. So in a sense, this is already very early thoughts, but it's been out for a little bit, and we're really starting to get a sense of where people are using it and how people are getting the most value out of it.
Holy
And let me tell you,
shit.
a lot of people are definitely
is so
still not
ass.
convinced on the whole
What up,
VR
CJ?
or Vision Pro thing at all. Like, it's an interesting product for sure, but it just doesn't do much. And I started having those thoughts immediately as soon as I started testing this thing, just all sorts of missing stuff that I would like it to do. So this is all those things in one place. So probably
Okay.
the biggest thing that you've noticed, if you've been familiar with the VR headset world or used any other VR headset before,
never
is
used one.
the Vision Pro is missing shared experiences. Like, you are always so alone
mean?
in this headset. Like, meaning there are lots of other great super immersive experiences, and you can be productive and you can watch a movie, but no matter what's happening, you're always alone. Even if you have pass-through on, nobody else can see what you see. And so it's basically impossible to share what you're experiencing without what you see. And so it's
You
basically
can kind of see his eyes here.
impossible to share what you're
Looks fucking
experiencing
goofy as
without,
fuck.
you know,
You buying this,
mirroring
right?
everything
Yeah,
on
for
an
sure.
iPad or something like that.
$3,000?
Now,
Yeah.
FaceTime is close.
Already ordered
it's
it,
one
bro.
thing, but I'm talking about sharing one virtual space with more than one person, or seeing the same virtual environment at the same time with multiple people, or seeing the same virtual
Finally
object from
streaming.
two different perspectives.
Buddy, I'm gonna ban
at
you
the
right
same
now
time.
so
You
you
ever play
cannot
Rec
see
Room?
me stream anymore.
It's one of the oldest
You
but
done?
most fun games on the Meta Quest. It's just so simple. You're just out there having fun, but it's a bunch of people running around a room or an environment to different game areas where they can jump into an
what the fuck
experience
is
and play a
that?
game together. So in
Bro,
that
what is
digital
that?
space,
Hey.
you look around and see other
Ronald McDonald.
people, and I use
is
people
really,
with air
what do you
quotes,
mean?
but
Real
you see
fan.
them, they
I
see
respect,
you,
actually.
and you can
Thank you
see
for
the
the blade.
same environment from different angles at the same time and explore it together. It doesn't even have to be super realistic or high resolution or
pain
convince you
pistol?
that it's another
What
reality.
is that?
But it's just
Actually, I
way
think I've
more
seen videos of people
social
playing this.
and interactive and fun that way.
But
on Apple
I'm not
Vision
too sure
Pro,
what it is.
aside from FaceTime, really, all
I'm
the
your
other
biggest fan, by the way,
experiences
Blade.
is
Just saying.
just
I am
you in there,
your real
solo.
and biggest
Like,
fan.
there's nobody else in there. So no matter what you're doing, no matter
Lethal-
how immersive the movie is, or no matter
Lethal Company in VR Apple Vision. You know what actually could be a very good idea? Playing Lethal Company on VR? I think any scary game on VR could be insane. But I don't want to buy VR. It's
matter
way
how
too
good the
expensive.
game is
There's no
around
fucking
you,
way I'm buying this.
you're in there by yourself, and nobody else can see what
Very
you're seeing.
cooking.
Like, just here's a basic example. How sick would it be if you and the person next to you on a plane could sync up your experiences and both watch the same movie in a virtual theater at the same time?
Yeah?
Simple
That
as
could be
that.
cool.
Or maybe if you were manipulating a 3D
But
object in space,
it's
wouldn't it
not
make
necessary.
a ton of sense for someone else to be able to share that object with you so that they can see how you're manipulating it? Like, it feels like it just makes too
that
much
way.
sense.
Yeah.
I told you guys about that Sky Guide app, which has, like, you know, you look up and there's all the stars and the constellations, and it shows you where they're all supposed to be. It is pretty awesome. Funny enough, there's a laser pointer feature that lets you point a laser pointer at the sky and, like, circle around and point at things and draw things, but Still, nobody can see what you're pointing at with the laser,
Yeah, you're just
even if they
looking weird
have
as
a Vision
fuck. Huh?
Pro. So there are two basic types of shared experiences that it would just be great for Apple to add to this thing.
But it's
The
not that
first
easy
one
to do though.
is two different people with Vision Pros are in the same room with pass-through on, and one of them drops a virtual object into that room, and
Or
the
you can
other can
see.
see it at the same time.
That could be
Manipulate
insane.
the object, they can see it as well. Great. The other
They're gonna come out with a
is two
light
different
version.
people
No,
with Vision
100%
Pros
no.
in different
Apple is
places,
not
halfway
that
across the
that
world,
cheap.
doesn't matter. They
There's no
both
way, by the
turn
way.
on or join the
I don't think
same
so.
virtual environment
I
and
think
can see
the
it
next Apple
at the
Vision
same
Pro
time.
or the next Apple Vision or
As of
whatever,
right now, I believe the first one
there's probably
is
be
harder
one
because
that
the way these
costs like
headsets work with the pass-through,
2.5K.
basically in real time,
But the
they are
next
mapping
one
the
they're gonna
volume of
do,
space
Apple Vision
around you
Pro
with the
2,
sensors on the front of it.
it's gonna be
The
like 5K or
surfaces,
some
the
shit.
walls, the
100%.
floor, the
There's
objects
no way it's
around
gonna
you,
cost
and
like
everything. That's
less.
how Vision OS is
The
able
Apple
to
Vision
lock
Pro
your
2,
app
let's say.
floating in 3D
But they
space,
could do like
and how
not a
it's
light
casting
version,
shadows
but
on
like
different
a
surfaces in
version
your room with
less
decent
expensive.
accuracy. But there's no
But I don't know how they'll
guarantee
do it. How
that
they'll do
if
it
you're in
though.
a room with someone else who
Like
also has a headset on, that both
if
your
it's gonna
headsets
cost
are
less,
mapping the
then
room in the
what?
exact same
Like
way. Like
why will
maybe
it
I place an
cost
object
less? You
into
know,
space, but your
what
headset
options
doesn't see
you don't
space
have
there, so it's
with the
confused, or it doesn't map
less
my hands or
expensive
any what I'm
Apple Vision Pro
manipulating in the
that
exact same
has
way.
in
It's just
the I don't know how to
not
explain it, but you know
exactly
what I mean.
guaranteed to be the same. But the other kind,
Buy
just
it with
sharing
donation
a
money.
virtual environment someone builds with anyone
Yeah,
anywhere in the world,
but I don't get
seems
donos.
like a no-brainer. Like
Actually,
being
my
able
last
to
dono
watch a
was
movie in a virtual movie theater
from
with someone
Chen
else
Li,
who also
and
gets
he
a seat
gave
in
me
that
all
movie
his
theater,
money that he had,
playing an obvious
which
multiplayer
was
game in the
$1.
same environment. Like, this stuff is pretty basic with VR. I love multiplayer table tennis in the Quest. It's one of my favorite shared VR experiences. You can play against people anywhere else in the world. There's all kinds of other multiplayer games like this in VR. That is
His
a huge
ass.
part of the VR gaming experience. And I just wonder why this doesn't have that yet. Seems like a huge thing, especially, and I know, Apple has environments that they built in, but and they're massive and high resolution, but you can only move a little bit before you're out of the play zone, if you will. It's fascinating. I wonder if that's something to do with the way Apple thinks about these environments. Nevertheless, what I know is that's the number one missing feature on the Vision Pro that I'd love to see in a second gen. Now, the other big one that
Jesus
stands
Christ,
out
Burn
to me
screaming.
is if I want to use Vision Pro a lot in, let's say, just two different locations, home and work.
Okay.
I wish that it had a memory of all of the windows and apps that I leave open in each place. See, Vision Pro is actually already
That's an
amazing
option,
at this
but
in one space.
I don't think
It's
that's
seriously
that like
incredible. Windows
no.
stay locked to where you
Could be
leave them
cool,
as
but
it
like
live maps
no,
its
just
way around your
just no.
space. So you can pin something to a wall and then walk around and pin something to another wall, or just in the middle of the room.
And I get it. That's
leave the
his
room,
ideas
come
that he
back.
thinks could
They're
be
still
cool.
there. I even tried, ready for this? I pinned a window right here between these two cars in the parking lot. Then I turned and walked away, just left it behind me in the parking lot, walked inside, walked all the way down this long hallway, totally out of sight, around another corner, into the studio, and sure enough, that window is still right there where I left it between those
That is
spaces in
actually
the parking lot. The only thing
kinda
holding it back
crazy
from
and
being
cool.
nearly perfect is occlusion. Basically, the only thing that ever gets between the window and you is your own arms and hands, which is usually totally fine, but if you have something like around a corner, it doesn't put the wall in between you and the window, which is where it should be. So sometimes it gets a little wonky. But overall, 9 out of 10 already, really cool. But the second it gets dinged is when you want to do this in more than one space. So let's say at home, I've set up all these sweet monitors. I've got a virtual TV in one room and a game and some windows all over the walls or whatever. Cool. I pack it up, I drive here to the studio, and I put it on. And the second I start opening apps here, they have to disappear from home. They basically disappear from any other space and open in your new space. So there is no memory of different older spaces. So when I go back home, my windows are all going to be gone and I'll have to set them each individually up again. Not a huge deal, but if it had a memory, wouldn't that just make sense? I wonder if you could set up like little beacons.
Yeah, kind of,
Like
but
all it really
I don't think
probably
that's a
needs
big
is like
like.
a QR code or some visual identifier.
I think it's a
But
big
basically, you get home, you put the
option
headset
or
on,
whatever.
it sees the beacon, and then it goes, "Oh, I'm at home," and then it puts your windows all the way
No,
up.
I just prefer
where
to
it
have
already
always my
knows you
windows open
usually
that I
one for
have.
work. And so you basically just kick back on the couch, put the headset on, and you don't have to reset up each
No, I don't
window
agree
in
with
all the
this.
same places you want it every single time. It just remembers that. that would be sick. Those two features alone, I think,
That
would make
would be
a
sick,
dramatic
but
update
it's
to
not.
how often I
It's
realistically
not a
would use
very important
Vision
thing.
Pro.
I think.
Just, I don't know if
Just
that
like a little
requires some
option.
Vision OS software update, or if you need more compute to do things like more memory of locations or shared computing spaces. But that's the giant things that I think are missing from it. That would be awesome.
Giant.
Then the rest
Okay,
of the
it's
stuff
okay.
on my list anyway
Okay,
is maybe
Marcus.
a little
No.
more icing on the cake. Like, here's another
I
one.
don't think
I
so.
think probably 99.99% of people who buy a Vision Pro have an iPhone. I think that's pretty safe. It might be
Probably.
100, but I think that's a reasonable assumption. And I found it interesting. I think a lot of people assume that it'll just connect to the iPhone, and they think that they'll be able to see their phone notifications straight away on the Vision Pro. But it's not. It's a
Oh.
separate device, like a Mac or an iPad.
What?
So, yeah, it'll show you iMessage stuff because that's everywhere. But it is a separate
What?
device. But, the obvious
What?
difference is, unlike a Mac or an iPad, when
Wait,
you put
no,
on a
that
headset,
impossible.
well, now you're wearing a headset. So if I were to get a phone call on my iPhone, I couldn't necessarily even see that I'm getting a phone call. There is no notification for it in the Vision Pro. And I'm going to have
What?
to take the headset off to even see it coming and accept that phone call. So it would be nice to have
What?
an option where
But
these two
my
things
Apple
talk
Watch
to
can
each
do
other
this.
a little better. Just a little, maybe a little hub for just
If I get a
my
call,
smartphone's
my
notifications over to
my
the side if I
Apple
wanna
Watch
check
will
them.
tell me, "Yo, somebody's
I think
calling
it makes
you."
sense.
Or if I get a message or
Probably
whatever,
do
I
it,
get
though.
it on
But
my
here's a number
Apple
for you.
on my watch as well.
3,386. That is the
3,386.
pixel density of the Vision Pro's displays.
Oh.
It's kind of a ridiculous number. Over 3,000 pixels per inch
That
each.
is-
So there's been some teardowns. I'll link some below the like
yeah.
buttons. You can see them up close. They're incredibly
That is
sharp.
pretty sick.
So that and the high refresh rate and minimal
Can
distortion
relate to
all
poor.
contribute to a pass-through
it's not that
and
expensive,
just
an
everything
Apple Watch.
feeling so
Actually,
real.
it is
But the number
expensive.
I'd actually like to improve is 92.
But it is kind of worth it.
So the Vision Pro's displays show 92% of the DCI P3 color gamut. Pretty good coverage. Like, for a display, that's honestly pretty good. The reference grade display that is like the Pro Display XDR, for example, that'll show you 99% of DCI P3. So again, it's for a display a pretty great number. But the thing about a VR headset is it's replacing your eyes. Like, the pass-through
Legit.
is pretty good for what it is. But without getting too complicated, 100% coverage of DCI P3 is about 50% coverage of all of the colors that the human eye can see. So this headset looks great and it's very sharp, but it's only showing me a little less than half of the colors of reality. So I wonder how much they can improve that,
Okay.
because the human eye is obviously insane. It has crazy dynamic range and
Yeah.
foveated rendering and great sharpness and all that fun stuff. But
Okay,
Apple's
yeah.
been really good at a lot of displays for a long time, and these are some incredible displays. So field of view, wider please, but also, just generally more color would be interesting. There's lots of other little things that are obvious, like weight reduction, please,
Obviously.
of course.
I mean, I don't know how much you
Higher
weigh, but
quality screen recording is a niche little request of mine, but I think would help a lot for people trying to make videos with these
Wait, what?
things.
You can
also,
screen record
even
it.
more specific,
okay, he doesn't know this. You can screen
Keyboard
record.
pass through while in an environment. So you're in an environment, you're typing, you've got your virtual Mac display, and if it can see and recognize my hands after a scan, I think it would be nice if you could also build in a feature to scan your keyboard or recognize the keyboard of your MacBook, just because it's going to look the same every time, kind of like
Connected.
my hands. All that being said, I'm sure there are more things that are people thinking about on their lists, but let me know what you think about Apple Vision Pro Gen 2. Maybe leave your wish list in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
No.